What is the best loophole on an exam that you've ever witnessed? My calculus professor was absolutely brutal. Dr. Thompson had a PhD from Stanford and seemed to hate every student who walked into his advanced mathematics class. His exams were legendary disasters. The highest score in 3 years was 28%. Students literally dropped out mid-semester to avoid him. Our final exam was worth 70% of our grade. The last question was worth 40 points. Solve this differential equation system and find all critical points where the function intersects the complex plane. The equation covered 3 full pages. Mathematical symbols I'd never seen before. Greek letters mixed with calculus notation that looked like some secret code. People were having panic attacks. One girl just put her head down and started crying. I sat there for 90 minutes, completely stuck. This was impossible. Even our textbook didn't cover half these concepts. My entire math career was about to crash and burn. I could hear people around me frantically scribbling, erasing, rewriting. The guy behind me was muttering prayers under his breath. The room felt like a torture chamber, pencils breaking from pressure, people using every inch of paper. Then something weird hit me. I remembered Dr. Thompson's first day speech. Mathematics is about recognizing patterns and understanding when problems have elegant solutions versus when they're deliberately unsolvable. I looked at the problem again, really examined every piece of it. The differential equation they wanted us to solve contained terms that canceled each other out. The boundary conditions were contradictory. The function they described couldn't actually exist. But buried in all that mathematical chaos was one small note. Assume all standard mathematical conventions apply. Standard conventions meant real numbers, finite solutions, and functions that behave normally. The problem described a system requiring imaginary infinities and functions that approached both positive and negative infinity simultaneously at the same point. The derivative conditions violated basic calculus rules. This wasn't just difficult, it was mathematically impossible, like asking someone to find a square circle or divide by 0 and get a real answer. I wrote, "This differential system has no solution as it violates fundamental mathematical principles. The boundary conditions are contradictory, and the function requires impossible values. Under standard mathematical conventions, this system cannot exist." I turned in my exam after 2 hours. Everyone else was still desperately calculating. Someone actually laughed when they saw me leaving early. "He's giving up already," I heard someone whisper. 5 days later, Dr. Thompson walked in with his usual terrifying expression. 42 of you spent 4 hours trying to solve an equation system that has no mathematical solution," he announced coldly. One student recognized that advanced mathematics requires knowing when to stop calculating and start thinking critically. He dropped my paper on his desk. "In graduate research, you'll waste months chasing impossible proofs if you can't identify fundamental contradictions and problem setups." I got perfect score. The class average was 12%. 12%. The girl who'd been crying came up to me afterward. "How did you know it was impossible?" I stopped trying to solve it and started asking if it could be solved. Dr. Thompson explained later that he'd been using this trick question for years to separate students who could think like mathematicians from those who just followed formulas blindly. "Real mathematicians spend more time proving things are impossible than solving problems," he said. "That's the skill that matters in advanced research." The students who got it right all had one thing in common. They'd stopped panicking long enough to actually read what the problem was asking instead of immediately diving into calculations. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do on a test is prove the question itself is wrong.